I guess your concern around Australia's readiness and preparedness, is there a time frame of, is this, high risk in the next 10 years? And is there any chance of us getting our act together and being prepared? And what are we got to do?
Having still serving in a reserve capacity for my old unit, I'm privy to information that I can't share, but we don't have 10 years. If they're going to go, they're going to go in the next 3 to 5, I would argue, which a lot of think tanks, a lot of learned people out there are saying. And if they don't go then, they probably won't. They're not going to wait for us to get nuclear submarines, let me tell you that right now. They'll either do it or not do it. And we're talking about China here. It's the only country that's got the capability to hurt the West in a significant way. Europe aside, clearly the Europeans are very worried about the Russians. And if you're not aware, the Russians have increased their defence industry production 7-fold in the last 9 months. So, a sleeping giant has been awoken. The Chinese have been producing at what is known as warlike levels for the last 10 years. So they're clearly getting ready for something, whether that's just to be big enough not to, to have a greater effect at the table. Let's hope so. The other worrying signs are that they've got some internal issues there that, if you hark your minds back, those that were around 1982, the Argentinians invaded the Falkland Islands. The Argentinian economy was in a mess. The junta needed distraction. So a lot of what's my point? A lot of leadership, politicians will go to war as a distraction, as a way to either boost productivity in a country, but also take the minds of the people off the woes, the internal woes. So we don't have long. Can we get there? If we pull our head out of our arse collectively, then yeah, I think we can make a difference. We don't have to be able to beat them, because we won't. We just got to make it worth. So the whole idea of survival is make yourself the lead. You don't have to be the fastest, just don't be the slowest. Let the pussycats eat the ones that are right at the back. And you don't want to be the fastest because you don't know what's around the next corner. So in the middle of the pack's not a bad place to be. We just got to make it not worth their while.
From one leader to another. Rob.
Thanks, Mick. Thanks for everything. Thanks for today. It was really good. I just got a question about leadership. You've been in leadership for years, obviously, and most of the people in this room are leaders of business. Going through what you went through over all the years in SAS and leading people, and then going into business, what are the main things that you learnt from the SAS to take into business, and what's the key ingredients in leadership and getting the people to where you need them to be in business?
So I think that the tenets are the same. They remain, whether it's military or whether it's commercial, corporate, they are the same. People are similar. So it's how you treat those people, it's how you lead. But it's those processes. So I still use the same planning the analysis process to look at a problem or a task, to analyse that, to understand it, and then we use the SAS appreciation process, which allows us to plan in detail. I use the orders format to write the plan and to inculcate or to communicate that plan. So those processes have been very, very useful. It's the same thing, it's just different people, different mission, no guns. Well, sometimes some guns. But leadership, it's the same thing. You've got to inspire your people. You've got to lead from the front, communicate, treat them with respect, know your people really well, because there's hidden talents in there. That comes back to the pilot's licence. We were in a bit of a stick one time and I found out that, there was an aircraft available. One of my guys was doing his pilot's licence in his part-time, and I said, jump in that, make it start, get us out of here.
Hang on, you were behind enemy lines, the enemy was approaching, and you were about to get killed.
Details.
And then
Probably. So there is no difference, it's just the circumstances, I think. And good leadership is hard to do consistently. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do. It's service above self, all those things.
Do we have time for one more?
Following on from that, because that was part of my first question, so the leadership skills you learnt while in defence, bringing them over to the civilian life. So part one was that difficult to switch from military life to civilian? And I come from, my husband's done similar, so understand there are issues. Love the acronyms in Army. And then from that, do you still, from your experience and also your comments around how Australia's not very well prepared, do you still think that career in the SAS is something that you would also encourage some youngsters coming through? So, 18, 19, 20s, would you put them off, or would you go, hey, go for it because you're going to learn these great skills?
Some cracking questions, eh? Bloody hell.
Taking the processes and everything I'd learnt in leadership wasn't that difficult. Transitioning from service to civilian life was the hardest thing I've ever done. Still doing it. When I get it right, I'll let you know. It was like landing on Mars. So processes work, and being yourself. I guess for a number of years I doubted myself, doubted the skills that, making that connection between being a, top of your game, leading a bunch of gunfighters on highly risky missions, to where does that fit in the corporate and commercial world? Once you've joined those dots, and I think Defence could do a much better job in their transition program by helping people come to that realisation or through that process. Once I'd got to there, the rest was easy, but transitioning from Defence, it's hard. It's really hard. And would I advise anyone to follow? Look, if you want to be, people, I've already had the best job in the world, for me. It's not that, astronauts, who wants to go to space? Yeah, most people probably. So if I had my time again, I'd change a couple of little things, but not much. I've had the honour of working with some exceptional human beings. But I don't class myself as a hero. I am not a hero, but I know some. And I've learned some incredible skills. And you know what? I think I've left the world a better place. Saved more life than collectively we took. And I still put my hand on my heart and say, maybe there's one or two exceptions in there, but the majority, they were bad people. Or they made the decision for us. So yeah, if you service to the nation is an honourable thing. But, as I'm sure your husband will attest to, not everyone that wears a uniform or is in the Department of Defence are batting for the same team, let's put it that way.